Hello hackers, welcome back to ShadowPentest, the channel where ethical hacking meets real-world skills and techniques. In today's video, we are diving into the advanced world of Hping3. This is a part 2 video. We will go into more advanced topics. If you haven't watched part 1, please check out my YouTube channel on the Hping3 tutorial. So go ahead here. We have a powerful tool, Hping3, that let you craft packets and bypass filters on firewalls, and it can also help you to stimulate those attacks and analyze network defenses and more. But we are not going to stop at basic things. So if you want to check the basic things, you can check the part 1. So this is part 2 where we go deep, and then let's start hacking ethically. So the first one we have is stealthy SYN scan with fragmentation. But before that, you need to set up a Wireshark on the adapter. So I choose my virtual adapter. So here, if you don't know how to set up the Metasploitable 2 machine on VirtualBox, please check there is a video which I make how to download the Metasploitable 2 machine and then run it on the VirtualBox. So this can help you to create a lab environment and then practice on the tool. So we have Wireshark is ready. Whenever you want to analyze the packet, Wireshark is the best tool. So always keep it running. And then let's go to the terminal. So the first one we have is stealthy SYN scan with fragmentation. So the commands looks like we use the stealthy SYN scan. So tag S SYN scan, and then we should choose the port 80, and I want to use fragmentation packet with count of 10. I'm sending 10 packets to analyze, and then target host. My Metasploitable 2 machine target IP is this, and then enter. At the same time, you can check the Wireshark it is capturing. You can see here it sent the SYN packet, and we receive the SYN acknowledged packet on port 80. At the same time, you can see there is a reassemble. So this is the fragmentation packet. So let me explain this more clear. This is a stealth SYN scan with combined with the packet fragmentation. SYN scan sends only the first step of TCP handshake. If the port is open, then the target responds with a SYN ACK. You can see the flag here. If you see flag SYN and acknowledge with the SYN scan, which means the port 80 which we use here to scan is open. If it is closed, then it can show you reset. Let me show you right away. You can see 443. You see you receiving reset, which means the port is closed. So if the port is closed, you get the response with reset. So the tag F here refers the fragment the packet, which can bypass some firewalls or intrusion detection systems that cannot reassemble them properly. Use this when you want to sneak any basic filters against the firewall on the target host. So let me give you an example. There is a target host. Before we reach to the target host, there is a firewall. If you do the scan here with fragmentation, it goes through the firewall. So when it go through the firewall, some firewalls doesn't have a capability to reassemble the packet fragmentations that we sent in smaller pieces. They do not have a capacity to reassemble. So what it do is it will just allow the packet into the server, and then it can bring back the open ports and services. So you can test before you do the Nmap scan. You can use the Hping3 tool to analyze the network and how it is behaving and how to bypass the firewalls. And we can also use Nmap with packet fragmentation to bring the same details, but it can do more scans against services open ports. So let's come here. Today we are discussing on Hping3. So another one we have, the first one is the stealthy SYN scan with packet fragmentation. The second one we have SYN flood. This is stimulation of DOS. Very careful when you use this command against on any machine. It can bring down the services. The command looks like Hping3. We use the same SYN packet, and then here we use flood. Take V for our browse, and then let me give the port 80 against my target host is Metasploitable 2 machine 36.3. If I enter, I'm going to what is wrong? Okay, I want to stop immediately. Let me see my machine. Okay, you can see here how it can throw the packets. I just sent. You can see all SYN ACK and then reset. You can see here all. So it is sending a bunch of packets to the target host. So what happens is it can even bring down the system services. So very careful when you want to use against on any machine. And never try this on any online system. This can easily bring down the services of that particular machines. So let me explain more in detail. So this is a SYN flood, a classic denial of service technique. If you use this command in real time, very careful. It sends a massive stream of SYN packets. The target tries to respond to each one. Eventually, what happens? It exhausts the system resources. That's why in a three-way handshake, when you send SYN packet, then you are waiting for SYN acknowledge packet, right? But when you send one, like before we send the count of 10, but we send only 10, right? That's why we get the response. So if you flood means it fast, it can overwhelm the system. You will send lot of thousands of packets with SYN packets against the target host. So you're not giving a time to respond. So what will happen? So that's why it will eventually stop the system resources and its services. So tag flood option flag makes you Hping3 sends packets as fast as possible. Only use this in your lab or legal pen testing, or it is very powerful and it can even crash the services. So very careful. We also have another one which is IP spoofing for IDS testing. So when you want to test the intrusion detection systems, so you can use spoofing. So how you can do? Let's go with the same SYN scan, and then tag A, and then let me use 192.168.56.1, and then against port, let me use 22 on the target IP. So here what happens is this command spoof the source IP address. The source IP address is here. We can also change any to appear as another device on the network. So tag A means it is to set the IP address. Why? Because this technique is used to test the intrusion detection systems. If the intrusion detection system logs the spoofed IP, which means it is doing its job. So, but remember, you won't see replies since you are pretending to be someone else. You are spoofing, so you won't see the replies. If you do this and then cancel, you can see here it is sending 8.8.8. You can see here it is sending. So that's how you can spoof, but you don't know the replies because you cannot read the replies because you are pretending to someone. The system will respond to 8.8.8.8, whatever the IP which you spoof. But if you go to intrusion detection system logs, if you find this one is logged, then your intrusion detection system is working fine. And then the next one we have is scan for firewall mapping. So the command hook like Hping3 check A, and then let's go with the port 80, and then count of 4 on the target IP 168.56.4, and then let's see, is it capturing? Not really. Let me check. I'm sorry, I used the wrong IP. Okay, there you go. Okay, let's analyze the Wireshark now. You can see. So this is a scan. You can see this sending acknowledged package to the target host, and like it helps to map the firewall rules. So packets are used in the middle of the TCP connection, not the start or not the ending. So if you send an acknowledged packet and get reset in return, then the port is unfiltered. If there is no response, then the port is likely filtered by a firewall. So we can see here we get the reset. If you send acknowledge and if you get a reset in return, which means the port is unfiltered. Okay, if there is no response, then the port is likely filtered by a firewall. So here there is no firewall, that's how you get the response reset. That's how you need to understand each options which Hping3. This is a great technique to bypass stateless firewalls and NAT rules. So use it very carefully and against the target host. So whatever the commands which I'm demonstrating, they are all for real time penetration testing and ethical hacking results. So that's why use these commands very safely and make sure you have a legal permission against the host. Okay, next we have ideal scan, which is zombie scan, very stealthy. You can use Hping3 tag S with a SYN packet and then port. Let me use this. So we use the base port 6000, and I'm going to spoof it 192.168.56.1, and then we give the target IP 168.56.3. So let me change the spoof IP here to 8.8.8.8. Okay, if you enter this, and you can check, let me see if this one captured. Yes, you can see started capturing here. See, 6000, 6001, 6002. What happens here? The ideal scan or zombie scan is a genuine stealthy technique. You spoof a third machine. There is another machine which is zombie machine as a sender. So the target replies to the zombie, to the third machine, not to you. If zombie machine has predictable IP, and you can infer open ports without touching the target directly. So this one mostly red teamers use to stay invisible. You can see how you can use Hping3 tool against the targets to find out a lot of informations with it and from the target host. And the next one we have traceroutes. Traceroute, you all know that it's very simple command. Type P and AT and use trace route and then target IP 192.168.56.3. Sorry. So normally what happens is when you trace a route, it uses the ICMP echo request, but if ICMP is blocked, you don't get any response. So this one you can use TCP based trace routes. It sends TCP SYN packets to trace the path of to a host. It helps in bypassing ICMP blocking firewalls. So super helpful in stealthy recon machines. So, and then the next one you have UDP scan, which is Hping3 tac UDP tac flood tac P. So we are doing against the DNS server and then 168.56.3. So immediately stop the scan. Okay, you can see in the Wireshark the scan is still pushing to the host machine, to the target machine, and with the UDP protocols. So here what happens is we can stimulate a UDP flood before we did the SYN scan flood. So this is often used in DDoS testing, distributed denial of service. So especially on DNS service, when you are targeting on port 53, you can use this command. So UDP doesn't require a handshake, so it's easy to flood. This is fast and stateless and dangerous. So be careful when you are using this command against any target host. It can even bring down the servers. And then the next one we have Xmas tree scan. What does Xmas tree scan do? So let's see the syntax. Like P80, I go with the port 80. Here, this is urgent flag. And then we have SYN flag. We have FIN flag. If you combine all of this is push flag. And we have X. So we also have OR. So we are combining all of the flags, all TCP flags. It looks like a Christmas. That's what it means. 158.56.3. So if you use all of these flags against the target host, you can see the results from Wireshark. You can see. So what happens here is, so this scan is called Xmas tree scan because it lights up all TCP flags like a Christmas tree. We can use urgency flag, SYN flag, FIN flag, reset flag, and push flag. So this confuses operating systems and their response behaviors can help fingerprint them. So these old misconfigured systems can crash it or even reveal their OS versions. So you can easily use this Xmas tree scan to fingerprint the operating system. And the next one we have is ICMP ping of death. So the command looks like Hping3 and then 1. I will explain what it is, and we use the fragment packet, and I want to count 100. And then let's see G1200. Okay, and then target host. I will explain what it is. Here, if you see the command, so back in the day, the ping of death is crash systems by sending oversized ICMP packets. Why I'm mentioning here ICMP is we use the option tag 1. This is nothing but this is ICMP packet with fragmentation on the count of 100. So D is like a large payload, which is 1200 payloads, and the fragmentation. This is still works against the legacy devices, but unpatched IoT systems can fail you. And you can see at the back on the Wireshark, you can see all fragmented packets sending against to the target host, and it is trying to reassemble. So it is sending ICMP packets. So very careful when you use the ping of death. And we have port range scan, the next command, Hping3, tag S, tag P. Here what we do is we go with 30. You can tag, let's say I want to only scan from 30 to 39. So use tag C and then 9, and then target host from 68.56.3. So here you can understand it can scan 9 times by adding +1 to the previous port. You can see from 30 to 38. So you can also analyze, and you can see the responses on each port. They are reset, which means ports are closed. So that's how you can play with the port range scan. This is very advanced. This is an incremental port scan. You can also increment to, let's say I want to do 100. You can keep on go until it counts stop to 100. Okay, and we also use SYN flag here. This gives you a full control over your scan, especially useful for custom or non-standard port scans, where Nmap might miss some things when you're scanning, but Hping3 you never miss any port. Even if you're using the less used ports, even it can scan, because we are customizing to go with one by one. We are adding +1 to the port 30, 31, 32. It goes all the way the count that you mentioned, and you can analyze the results. So the results, if you see, you can see SA, the port is open. You see RA, the port is closed. So after this, once you save the results, you can use the call Linux commands to filter it and grab only the flag which has SA, and then you can see the results. Okay, and that's a wrap today. So from firewall evasion to packet spoofing and DOS testing and custom port scanning, you know, have everything to level up your reconnaissance and testing with this tool. As always, use these techniques ethically and legally. If you found this video helpful, hit like, comment, and subscribe to the ShadowPentest for more deep dive tutorials. Thank you for watching videos. Watching my videos. I will catch up in the next video with the great tools again. Thank you. Bye bye.